Alrighty, so today I'm going to be drawing a fish with and reviewing a Pilot G2 limited pen. Now, essentially what this pen is a nicer version of a normal base model Pilot G2 like this pen right here. However, the two of them are both very similar. Looking at them side by side, we can see the design is pretty much the same, but there are some significant differences. Of course, the base model Pilot G2 right here is made entirely out of plastic, whereas this pen right here is made entirely out of what looks like metal. And I say what looks like metal because you might think that it's actually just plastic that looks like metal. But no, this is actually made out of metal. And let me tell y'all what, the cost of this pen definitely does reflect the materials used, that is for sure. A normal base model Pilot G2, depending on where you go, will run you anywhere from $1.50, $2, $2.50 for a single one. If you buy a multi-pack, of course, it's going to be cheaper. The Pilot G2 limited metal pen, on the other hand, I think I paid $12 for it, I think about like 5 years ago now. $12. That's a lot of money for what is essentially just a nicer Pilot G2. But in my personal opinion, it's totally worth it because the Pilot G2 is one of my favorite pens to use, to draw with, to write with, to do literally anything with. I love the Pilot G2. And then let me tell y'all what, I definitely do love the G2 Limited as well. Although I will admit it doesn't leave the house much, just simply because I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose a $12 pen. If I'm going to lose a pen, I'd much rather lose a $1.50 pen than a $12 pen. So this pen is pretty much relegated only for home use. What else did I want to say for the intro, though? I think the other stuff I wanted to say is that this one is made with nicer materials, of course, although I think I already said that. The weight of it is really nice, but I'll be covering that in just a little bit. And I think the only other thing that I had to say about this pen when compared to the other pen is that they both take the exact same insert. And in fact, both of these pens actually have the exact same insert in them at the moment. This is a Pilot G2 0.7 millimeter sized pen, and this Pilot G2 limited pen also has a 0.7 millimeter sized G2 insert in it, which is a pretty interesting concept in my personal opinion. I really like the idea of having a nicer version of a base model pen, kind of like a sleeper pen or something like that kind of thing, that you can just put the normal insert that you know and love inside and just use it like that kind of thing. I love that idea. And the Pilot G2 Limited, you can use any G2 insert you want in it. It can take any size. From my knowledge, at least, I believe there's a 0.5 G2, a 0.7 G2, and a 1.0 G2, and you can use any of those inserts in this pen right here. Although today I have the 0.7 millimeter sized insert in the pen right here. Although this is by no means a super unique concept for Pilot, as they have made another pen with a very similar concept before. This is my Pilot Metropolitan, which is essentially just a capped version of this pen right here. This pen, as well, has a 0.7 millimeter sized Pilot G2 insert in it. And from what I know, at least, it can take any sized insert you want. So for Pilot, at least, this is by no means a super unique concept. Just taking one of their cheap refillable pens and literally making it nicer is by no means a super unique concept for Pilot, but it's still something that I really like nonetheless, and it's something that I wish I saw more. There's so many pens on the market that I really enjoy using, their disposable versions, and I really would love it if they came out in like a metal version or something like that kind of thing as well, like maybe a limited edition, like sort of like luxury version or something like that kind of thing. I would love if they came out with that, but sadly that's just not something you see very often. And even with Pilot these days, it's not something you see very often either. From what I know, at least, now don't quote me on this, but from what I've heard, the Pilot G2 limited pen has now been discontinued. I believe that the Pilot Metropolitan, the ballpoint version, has also been discontinued, although they continue to make the fountain version of the Pilot Metropolitan, but don't quote me on that. But I do believe that this pen right here has been discontinued, which is a little bit of a shame, but I do suppose there's just not really much of a market for a luxury pen with a luxury price. Well, it's not super expensive by any means, a cheap luxury price, but it literally uses a G2 insert, which is one of the most common inserts you can find, and that's why I love this concept so much, because the G2 insert is just such a well-rounded, good insert as a whole. And it's super easy to find. You can find it in almost every single country in the world. And it's just one of those things where I really don't understand why more people didn't buy this pen right here. I think it's a great pen, and it's a pen I really, really, really like. But I think that's enough background on the pen itself and explaining what the pen is. Today, I'm going to be drawing a fish in my Soho Urban Artist Sketchbook with 75-pound paper. And without further ado, let's go ahead and flip to a new page. But before I go ahead and get to drawing, I want to go ahead and talk about the ergonomics of this pen and the weight of it. Now, the weight of this pen is really, really, really nice, especially when compared to a normal base model Pilot G2. Now, the normal base model Pilot G2 is a very, very, very light pen. It's a disposable pen made out of plastic. After all, sure, you can put a new insert in it if you want, but it is, let's be honest here, meant to be disposable, unlike this one. This pen is very light. It's very lightweight kind of thing. A little bit of weight towards the back, a little bit of weight towards the front. I'd have to say the main weight is towards the front, but it is more so than not just very light. It's not really very much to my preference when compared to this pen. Let me just put it that way. Although as far as disposable pens go, the Pilot G2 is definitely one of the best in my personal opinion. But when compared to a pen made fully out of metal with a really, really, really nice weight to it, this pen ain't shit. I ain't gonna lie. It really ain't shit. The weight of this pen is so nice. I ain't gonna lie. It really is so nice. And I usually don't like pens that are kind of evenly weighted, but this pen is evenly weighted, and I think it's because a lot of times when pens are evenly weighted, the weight is kind of, it feels sort of centralized kind of thing, and I don't really like that, but the weight of this pen does not feel centralized at all. You get a nice weight at the tip, and you also get a nice weight at the back of the pen as well, which makes it sort of an even weight all the way through, although I'd have to say it's probably a little bit more weighted towards the top than not, which definitely shows that this pen is meant more for handwriting, for writing in general, than it is meant for drawing, as drawing pens, from what I know at least, tend to be more weighted towards the front than the back, whereas writing pens tend to be weighted more towards the back than the front. That's just my personal perspective on that, though. There's no proof, really. I really have no proof backing that statement up. But this is a more evenly weighted pen than not, but it doesn't feel like it's centrally weighted, which is something that I really, really, really like. Now, taking a look at the pen as a whole, we haven't really taken a look at the details of the pen either, which is something I want to go ahead and do as well. The pen looks really, really, really good in my opinion. You can see that I got this in sort of like the sort of like a titanium gray sort of look. I think they made these in a couple different colors, but this is the color that I opted for, as it's a color I like quite a bit. We can just see it just says Pilot right here on the metal sort of shirt clasp. We can see the clicker is all metal as well, and then we can just see it just says G2 Limited right there. We still get a very nice silicone sort of rubber grip right here, which I like quite a bit, although this is probably my one point of sort of this is probably my one beef with this pen. It's made entirely out of metal, which is never going to degrade or anything like that kind of thing. It's always going to be super good. But this silicone, the more you use it, the more it's going to degrade, the more sticky it's going to get. And eventually this is going to be unusable, which is something that I don't really like about this pen. But that's really one of my only qualms with it, I will admit. And of course, we can see the tip of this pen is metal as well. But no, the weight of this pen is really good. It's a little bit thicker than a normal Pilot G2, which means that it rests on your hand a lot better in my personal opinion. It's a little bit thicker. It's very easy to hold, very easy to use, and I really, really, really do like it. Now, one other thing I want to go ahead and cover, I just keep thinking of more things I want to cover before I go ahead and really hop into drawing with this pen right here. But I will admit the drawing experience with this pen is pretty much probably what you're already expecting. It draws, it writes like a Pilot G2 0.7 millimeter sized insert. It's nothing really special, in all honesty. I just really like this pen as a whole, in all honesty, and it's very easy to draw with. The weight is perfect in my personal opinion. It really is just fantastic. But let's just go ahead and take this pen apart real quick, just so you guys can just see how it comes apart. So, just taking that apart just like that kind of thing, and then taking that out just like that. So there's the Pilot G2 insert, and then this does not come out, actually. That does not come out. This little band comes off as well, and then there we go. Just like that, that all comes off. Now, one thing that I've actually never tried before is seeing, I don't know, no, you can't take this little rubber grip off of a normal base model Pilot G2. So no, you cannot use the grip from a normal base model Pilot G2 to replace the little silicone grip right here, which is a little bit of a shame. I ain't gonna lie, it is a little bit of a shame, but it certainly is what it is nonetheless. But that's how the pen comes apart. Pretty easy to come apart, I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Certainly no complaints on my behalf. Very, very, very easy breakdown, if I do say so myself. And without further ado, let's go ahead and put it back together. I'm gonna go ahead and start off with putting that in. And then I'm going to go and put the band back on as well, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and put the silicone grip on, and you can put it on any which way you want. Actually, no, you can't put it on any which way you want because this side is thicker than this side. But let's go ahead and put that back on, just like that. And let's go ahead and screw the cap back on, just like that. And there we go. Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and get right to drawing the fish that I'm going to be drawing in today's video. As said, it writes pretty much just like a normal Pilot G2 0.7 millimeter sized pen, except you just get a nicer weight to it and everything like that kind of thing. Your drawing feels a little bit more significant. You feel like you're using something. This really does feel like a high quality pen with the weight it has to it, and that is something that I really, really, really like. I think I'm just going to do a little bit of a simple fish today. I'm just going to just do like that kind of thing. And then I'm just going to have that kind of come down and around. And I haven't used this insert much at all. This is pretty much a brand new insert, so it is definitely being a little bit finicky. I put it in this pen yesterday and then did not use it at all. I just did some little experiments. So it definitely is being a little bit finicky, but this is a brand new insert, so it is what it is kind of thing. But no, as we can see, just based off of this, it pretty much draws just like a normal Pilot G2 pen. There's really nothing else to it. Maybe it's a little bit heavier just simply because there's more weight behind the pen. But in all honesty, I do doubt that that actually has much of an effect on the actual like weight of the ink on the actual like darkness of the ink on the paper or anything like that kind of thing. Let's go and do the fins real quick, just like that. I think I'm going to do one more right there, and I'm going to go and do the eyes now, just like that. And let's go and do the teeth, just like that. And of course, since this is a Pilot G2 insert, it does smear a little bit at first, but that's by no means a super big deal or anything like that kind of thing. It does dry pretty fast. Let's go and do a second layer on this fish real quick, just to go ahead and get it going. So yeah, now one thing to keep in mind if you're going to use this pen with a Pilot G2 insert, which is the only insert you can use with this pen from my knowledge at least, is of course that this is going to smear a little bit kind of thing. The Pilot G2 inserts do tend to smear, but I really like the pens nonetheless, just simply because the weight of the ink on the paper, the darkness of the ink on the paper is really unparalleled in my opinion. It's just a really, really, really good darkness. It's a really, really, really good weight of ink that I really, really, really like. And it's something that really sets this pen apart from competitors in my personal opinion. For the most part at least. Especially when you're doing a second layer, the ink just gets so dark, and it's something I really like. Just like that. And let's go ahead and do the bottom jaw now. I think I already did that, but it's whatever. Let's go and do the teeth. And the eyes just once again. And let's go ahead and do the fins now. You know, ergonomics-wise, this is really, really, really easy to hold for long periods of time. It does not start hurting your hand or by any means or anything like that kind of thing. It's big enough where if you have bigger hands like me, it doesn't become a pain to hold or anything like that kind of thing. The ergonomics are really good both for drawing and for... how did I almost forget to do this part? I can't believe me. But the ergonomics are really good for both drawing and writing. Let's just go ahead and just write a little bit kind of thing. Just fish, just like this kind of thing. Fish, just like that. And there we go. We can see it writes pretty easily. It draws pretty easily kind of thing. It's a Pilot G2 it's a Pilot G2 in a metal case. That's what this is. This is a very nice Pilot G2. That is what this pen is. And that is why I like it so much. It literally is just a nicer Pilot G2 in all honesty. I really, really, really do like using this pen. It really is one of my favorite pens to use to draw with, and it's a pen that I haven't used very much over the last couple years, as my insert ran dry in it, and I just didn't buy another insert after that, in all honesty. Thankfully, though, I have a new insert in this pen, and I'm definitely looking forward to using it more again in the future, that is for sure. It really does have just such a good weight to it. It really draws pretty well. I mean, like, it's just a Pilot G2 in a metal case kind of thing. Of course, it draws pretty well. Of course, it writes pretty well. It's just a very nice, well-rounded, really nicely weighted, really good ergonomics pen that I really do like. I ain't gonna lie, I really am a pretty big fan of, well, the Pilot G2 limited pen. I certainly hope you guys have enjoyed watching this review. I think I have one other thing I want to talk about, and that's whether I would much rather have my Pilot Metropolitan or my Pilot G2 Limited. If I had to only pick one of these, and both of these are essentially the same concept kind of thing. It's basically just a Pilot G2, but nicer kind of thing. Both of these are essentially just the same concept, except this one's got a cap and everything like that kind of thing. And honestly, if I had to choose just one of these, I hate to admit it, I'd pick my Pilot Metropolitan. I really, really, really like my Pilot Metropolitan. I like the weight of it a little bit more kind of thing. I like the ergonomics of it a little bit more. I like the look of it a little bit more kind of thing. It looks a little bit more luxury. I really do like this pen a lot. And while I do like this pen a lot as well, I think if I had to choose just one of them to live with for the rest of my life, it would be my Pilot Metropolitan. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. Either way, though, both these pens are fantastic in all honesty. But, I think I would have to choose my Pilot Metropolitan. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I really am just a big fan of both pens, though, as I'm sure you guys can tell. But I do have my preferences. But I do think, without further ado, it is now time for me to go and end this video right here. Let me know in the comments down below if you guys have any constructive criticism for this video or for the drawing I did in today's video. And of course, please make sure to like and subscribe for more content if you guys enjoyed my review of the Pilot G2 Limited Pen. I have my Instagram, my book, my merch, my P.O. box, and my main channel all in the description down below. Go check it all out, of course. And of course, as said, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. But I think that's all I had to say in today's video. So as such, I certainly hope you guys enjoyed watching. And until the next one, y'all, did I say everything I wanted to say for my outro? I'm kind of out of it today, I ain't gonna lie. I am kind of out of it today. Go check out my Instagram, my merch, my book, my P.O. box, my main channel. Like, subscribe. Well, if I didn't say it before, I've said it now. But, thank you very much for watching, y'all. Till the next one, stay safe and peace and have a great one. Yes, sir, you know what I'm saying?